Bohemian Rhapsody chronicles the rise of Queen and really focuses on lead singer Freddie Mercury. Rami Malek plays Freddie Mercury, and wow, he does a good job. Now, it took me just a little bit of time to kind of warm up to him a little bit, and I think some of that is because of the prosthetics that he's wearing on his mouth, that it really accentuated his teeth a lot. Now, when you look at real footage of Freddie Mercury, he did have those big teeth. And I think it just, I don't know, it was off-putting a little bit, or maybe not off-putting, but it was just weird to see. And it almost seemed like the prosthetics or the implants, whatever he was wearing, were almost a little too big, because in his cheeks right through here, you saw some like dimpling or some raised, like he had shoved cotton balls almost up into his mouth. And so it looked like maybe that prosthetic was just a little bit too big. But aside from that, his performance was outstanding. He truly disappeared into the role. And as it went on, as the movie just progressed and progressed, I didn't see Rami at all. It was all Freddie Mercury, and I was just enthralled in seeing him perform and watching him sing, and just even as he interacts with the band and his friends and his family. Malek is clearly the standout and the star of the film as Mercury, but he is surrounded by great performances from the entire cast. One of the standouts is Lucy Boynton, who plays Mary, and she is kind of the love interest and definitely lifelong friend of Freddie Mercury. And she plays the character with such love and such compassion, and you just see it in her eyes as she looks at him and as she deals with him. And it was so convincing, and I loved watching her in this. Now, Malek did a really good job at capturing the loneliness and the emptiness of Freddie Mercury. And you just, it tugged at my heart that you just watch this and you just feel this utter sadness for him at times, because he's truly alone, even though he's surrounded by all these people. And he's going through his emotional stuff and trying to deal with just accepting himself as a person, or figuring out who he is and how he wants to be. And the actor Malek just does a phenomenal job with this. I found it to be utterly convincing. The story does a good job of also showing the band's rise, but also their tension that they have. Because, you know, things are not always smooth going. You have all of these creative people who are inputting their ideas, and, you know, something has to win, or at least it's a collaboration. And so there's going to get hurt feelings and bumps and bruises along the way. And the story really shows how they grow as a band and how they grow as a family. And you just see them, they can't function without each other, that they truly together make Queen, and they make the band what it is and produce these amazingly just great songs that everybody knows, that everybody sings along to, even if you didn't know they were a Queen song. The cinematography was amazing. There were great moments of framing where it just puts you in the audience or on stage. And so sometimes it felt like a music video. Sometimes it felt like you were at a concert. And sometimes it felt like you were a friend who's standing right there, right next to him, just taking it all in. Some really cool shots too as they would film these concert sequences, and you just, I don't know how they did it. I don't know if it's the cameras on a wire and it would fly under like a piano and under the bench, or how they did that. But it was really cool, and it just made this seamless, just all-encompassing feel to the film, and it felt like you were really there. And that takes me into the part where they do Live Aid. Now, that is towards the end of the film, but they do such a great recreation of the actual Live Aid event that I mean, down to the cups on the piano. It is crazy at how well they recreated this. And I loved that while they're doing this in the film, they didn't just show you a clip of the song and then cut to a different clip of the song. You got this huge performance. And so you got to enjoy the songs. And so it truly was like being there at Live Aid watching it, and you see the crowd and just how huge it was, and just the energy that was there, and then the energy that the band is putting into it as they're performing. It was fun to watch as they recreated the recording sessions, and you get to watch the band be experimental and just put the songs together and how they did this creative process. And then there is this conversation that surrounds the song Bohemian Rhapsody. and it is nothing short of genius when you see it. I absolutely laughed out loud once I saw it and once it clicked. The film is definitely emotional as we follow Freddie Mercury's life. I mean, we get to see the good and the bad, and we're taken all through it. I think if you go into this completely blind and you have no idea who Queen is, you have no idea who Freddie Mercury is, you'll get a good sense of it in the film. But I think, like, I heard some people like gasping because certain things happened, like they were totally caught off guard that he was behaving this way or this happened, and you're like, do you not know who these people are? So I don't know, if you haven't, maybe just look them up a little bit, maybe look up a song or something like that, just to get a little bit of a inkling of who you're going to see when you see them. There was a surprising amount of humor in this film, and it was spread throughout. There were several times where the entire theater is breaking out in laughter out loud. I'm also sure there is going to be a huge spike in Queen's song downloads, which I think is great. And it's also going to expose just a whole new generation of listeners because of this film. Bohemian Rhapsody is an emotional ride that is filled with both heart and humor. And despite its 2 hours and 15-minute runtime, I didn't really feel the time at all. Now, there might have been one moment that I was like, oh gosh, I think we could have cut this out, or I didn't like it too much on how they were presenting this little section, just to illustrate that they were doing a global tour, that they were bigger than, they were just growing and they were huge. And for me, it got a little tiring. Now, it fit with the filmmaking and the style, and it was like the 70s kind of look and feel of everything. So it worked. It wasn't like it was out of place. Just for me, I wish that they would have either shrunk that down or maybe done it in a slightly different way so that I got like, a couple of minutes back. But overall, the pace of the film was great. I didn't feel the time. I was enthralled the whole time. I'm singing, well, quietly at least, and screaming it in my head, and tapping my foot throughout the entire film because I'm so drawn into the songs and to the performances. The ending seemed to come a little quickly, but there's nothing I think that you could add to it that would really add to the narrative. And in fact, I think it would take it away from the storytelling itself if you were to just add more and more detail. I think they did a good job of, okay, you get the sense that we're wrapping up. We've had a climax, and now we're really, we're resolving everything, at least resolving what you get in the film. There's no sex, nudity, or really any violence. There is some profanity. I had a blast watching Bohemian Rhapsody. I thought it was well made. I thought it was funny and sad and emotional and heartfelt, and it took me on this huge ride, and I just got to feel everything, and I got to be there and watch the band from its formation to its rise and to its final outcome, really. And so I loved it. I think you will too. I give it 5 out of 5 couches. What is your favorite Queen song? I'd love to know in the comments below. If you don't have a favorite Queen song, then listen to some and then let me know in the comments. Sound good? If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you know when I upload new content. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.